All right, so welcome to Tuesday morning or Tuesday morning coffee rant with Dan, and it's not really a rant today. So I don't know. I guess maybe it is. No, it's not really a rant. So I went to become a member of this Facebook group that does research on Bigfoot, and they asked a question. Well, I agreed to that. I just put yes, and I wasn't accepted to the group. So I reapplied and actually gave a well thought out response this time. We'll see if they let me into the group about Bigfoot. But so I'm gonna tell about a Bigfoot encounter that people may not believe. It was around 1996. My then wife, who is, she's my ex-wife now, but we're still friends, can attest to this. So we were camping in the Alleghany Mountains, and we got there. It's about a 3.5 hour drive from where I live. The Alleghany Mountains is in Pennsylvania, and I know there's black bears in that area and other stuff. But we were in the national park camping, and you're allowed to shoot there and stuff like that. And we camped at this place like all the time where there was a natural like backdrop, so we'd be shooting into a hill for safety. And me and my friends would go there once a year up to that point. So me and my wife that summer decided to go. Let's go camping by ourselves up in the Alleghany Mountains. We had a small tent. Drove up to the exact same spot. Spent the day there that evening. Got some fire together. Got some firewood. And we get into the tent to go to sleep that night. And it's dark. Fire was still going outside, a light, a little bit. And all of a sudden we hear boom, 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 boom. And I mean, it was like someone running, okay? But it was, you could tell the steps were far apart. Boom, 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 boom. Running this way. And it was heavy. I could feel the ground was vibrating, okay? And I've told this story a couple times. I'm like, I do talk on a podcast. Maybe I should tell this story. Just to, there's things out there that aren't explainable that some people think are just myths. Well, I immediately knew this wasn't a bear. Bear's kind of on two legs, lumber. On four legs, it'd be boom, boom, boom. I mean, so maybe a 600-pound bear, you might feel the ground shake if it was close by. But this thing ran fast in this direction, the ground shaking. Fast in this direction, the ground shaking. It did that several different times. So, you get a lot of things going through your head. I initially thought, could that be a local around here just messing with us campers? No, that can't be, because they would have to be a really big local, and to make the ground shake like that, you have to weigh a lot to actually feel the vibration in the ground. And I've talked with a couple of expert researchers on it, and they said it might have been just an older adolescent Bigfoot messing with us. But it went back and forth, and we were camping at the bottom of the hill, and it starts coming back, and then I could just tell by the sound how it went. It goes up the hill. So it's going up the hill, and I'm in there scared. I mean, we both were fucking scared. And then it starts running down the hill. And like coming right at us, you just hear it, and it's when you've been in the woods a lot and you're in that area and you've camped there a lot, you get used to spatial sounds around. It was coming at us, right down towards us, and I was probably like 25 at the time, so it was coming towards us, and I leaped over and jumped on top of my wife and kind of covered up. To maybe take the impact. It would have probably squashed us both, and I didn't know what else to do. And I did have a gun in there, but I don't like to shoot at what I can't see. So it then veered off, and I hear it running in that direction. So I grabbed my gun, I unzipped the zipper. I swear to God, this is like something you'd see on Starsky and Hutch back in the 70s or something. This is from martial arts, too. I dove out of the tent with my gun. I did a forward roll, dove out of the tent, came up, like in a crouch, pointing my gun in every direction, don't see nothing. There's a little bit of ambient light because of the fire out there. Can't hear the Bigfoot anymore. And it's what it had to be. This was a bipedal creature. It was heavy enough to shake the ground as it was running. And I've talked to expert researchers on it, and they're like, yeah, that was a Bigfoot. So the rest of the story gets a little bit funny, okay? And I don't know if I talked about this in Violence and Ego, but sometimes our mouths will write checks that our asses can't cash. So that night wasn't great sleeping. We slept in the car. We turned on the lights, the brights on. Might have gotten just a little bit of sleep that night. And then the next morning, because we had planned on staying there like the whole weekend, and I spend the whole day fortifying our encampment. Okay, remember I'm 25. First off, thinking back on jumping over and covering up my wife and sacrificing myself. I've joking around and said, well, it's my ex-wife. I should have thrown her off the tent. If you see this, I'm joking, hon. But I think back to myself, that was my natural reaction. Wow, that was kind of courageous. I don't know if I could be that courageous now. But I think I would be. I don't know. But I spend the whole next day fortifying the area, making like pointed sticks and putting them around the tent, and then getting all this firewood, and I'm ready for Bigfoot combat that night. I'm not going to get messed with that night. So we're doing all this stuff. Now remember, this was like I had been on the Marines for a couple of years, and I happened to glance over. No one else was camping on this mountainside either. So I happened to glance over at my wife, and she had this really stressed out look on her face. And then it dawned on me, we don't have to stay here. We could just get in the truck and go. I don't have to fight Bigfoot tonight. So I was like, hey man, we're getting out of here. So we didn't want to collect all that wood for nothing. We still had a couple hours before it got dark. We had a huge bonfire, ate something, and then we bounced. We didn't spend the night that night. But I asked her later in years, like actually last summer, why were you listening to everything I was just telling you? Like, why were you helping me sharpen, like, get ready for battle, right, with Bigfoot? And she's like, because it had something to do with fighting. I was just listening to you because she thought I knew, about all that shit because I was in the Marines. No, sometimes we know just enough to get ourselves in real trouble. But I guess the moral of the story is not to always be so serious when I'm talking about stuff, but the moral of the story is you don't always have to fight every fight that is presented to you, okay? And from a self-defense standpoint, too. If you can actually leave the area and be safe, just leave, okay? This was one of those ego things when I think back on it. And I don't know if I put this in my book, Violence and Ego, but it most certainly should have been an antidote in it. It definitely was a bipedal creature that was heavy. And that's all I know. I was thinking to myself, could this be a local, really big, dude, and it just couldn't have been. It had to have been, a Yeti, a Sasquatch, something. But it was just funny. I'm doing all this, getting ready for combat, getting ready for battle, and I mean, the camp looked good. It looked like a Viking camp. It had spikes set out. I definitely had my guns, my bullets. We had a lot of wood, getting ready to probably be up the whole night. There wasn't going to be no beer drinking that night. And I just happened to look over at her, and she was like super stressed and not having a good time. And I'm like, fuck, we could just leave. So I guess there's no real moral to the story. It's just like a funny story. Like, use common sense, I guess, man. And that's my Tuesday morning coffee rant with Dan. Until I do another one, man, stay safe, everybody. Peace out.